Hi, thanks for watching our video. I want to first thank the Lewisburg Arts Council for sponsoring this video, and the pairing radio drama, Tarstown Tales, Chris's Time-Traveling Adventure, which you can find at solo.to/Lewisburg Arts Council. That same link will bring you to the Lewisburg Arts Council website, the pairing radio drama, and a PDF program explaining who was involved in this project and how they were involved. There are so many people to thank, and we're so grateful to have them on board. If you would like to make a donation to the Lewisburg Arts Council, please visit lewisburgartscouncil.com. I would also love to give a big thank you to our filmography team, Gabe and Xander Friedberg and Zoe Scott, for putting together this nonfiction documentary about a little bit of the history of Lewisburg. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Soldiers Memorial Park, a park right by the waterfront of the Susquehanna River. Maybe you remember seeing kids climb on these round stone foundations. They were bases of water towers for the town. They were fed by water pumps from the river or piped directly into town through the west. Our first location is just by the park, an old steel bridge north of Market Street that used to be an 8-span, 7-piers covered bridge used by both trains, wagons, and people. It cost $59,000 to construct, which is now roughly $1.3 million. Anyone who wanted to cross the bridge would have to pay a toll.
This bridge was constructed in February of 1818 and was a part of the Pennsylvania Railroad. When it was first constructed, it was a covered wooden Burr arc truss type bridge. In the 1865 flood, the bridge was substantially destroyed and rebuilt. This happened again in the 1889 flood. In 1912, it was replaced with what you see today, a steel railroad and trolley bridge on the original piers.
To find our next location, all you need to do is look in the opposite direction of the bridge. Our next location is one of the oldest and most historic buildings in Lewisburg. Among one of the oldest log-built structures in Pennsylvania, with its clapboard facing hiding the original log cabin structure. It was originally constructed as a 2-story log cabin in 1796. In 1799, playing a key part in the rich history of Lewisburg, serving many uses over time. Initially, it served as a tavern and inn for river travelers along the Susquehanna. The tavern later evolved into a hotel, known as the American House, in the early 19th century after the construction of the Pennsylvania Canal crosscut in Lewisburg. In the mid-19th century, the hotel expanded to a 3-story, 27-room structure. Due to the Pennsylvania Railroad, added downtown in the 1960s, the hotel lost much of its business, leading to its close in the 1880s. That was when it was converted into 3 townhouses. Today, this place serves as a museum founded by Edith and John Featherston. They lived in the old hotel building from 1936 through the 70s. John was a prominent New York civil engineer, and Edith obtained her bachelor's and master's degree at Bucknell.
They lived in various places before settling in Lewisburg and buying the 27-room building as a retirement home. The building was named Packwood after a Featherston family ancestral home in England. The house has an elevator which Edith would stash supplies in if she was to ever get stuck in it. Edith also put a dental chair in the house as the dentist would come to her. She also had custom sneakers made for her and would wear her husband's overcoat around town. After the Featherstons had passed, with Edith dying in 1972, a trust was established and Packwood House Museum opened to the public in 1976 as John and Edith did not have any children. Edith stipulated in her will that nothing could be moved in the house, creating little walking space for people that toured the museum. The building holds the Featherstons' treasures of glass, ceramics, textiles, furniture, paintings, Pennsylvania German decorative arts, and Oriental art. It also contains Edith's 1930s Oriental and Pennsylvania woodland garden. It holds the area's only collection of century-old Japanese cedars.
The Union County Courthouse. It used to have an entirely different surrounding and entrance than the one used today. It had an open view of the river. It was built in 1855, along with many other structures that came along with the construction of the Crosscut Canal that gave rapid growth to Lewisburg. After Hurricane Agnes in 1972, Lewisburg suffered horrible floods. The courthouse was not affected by the flood because it was built at the highest elevation in town. By order of the new Union Courthouse Authority, a new section was added to the courthouse. After the renovations, the floodplain ordinance was put into effect to help control low-lying areas and rebuild sections of the town that were hit worse by the flood. After these renovations, the floodplain ordinance was started to control buildings in low-lying areas and to redevelop the sections of the town that had experienced the worst damage.
Ludwig Durr. If you know Lewisburg's history, then you know he is the founder of this town. He had good relations with the indigenous people and purchased land from them, and then acquired a 320-acre tract for a small sum in 1733. 10 years later, after the war had ended, settlers returned and Durr saw the benefit of starting a town. He held a lottery for land in his newly surveyed town and went to Philadelphia to promote sales, but sadly died of an illness while he was there. Durr finished constructing this mill in 1768 and began operating it a year later. It is located along the river, now known as Bull Run. It was a heavy timber, multifunctional building where water ran underground. The waste used by the mill is now covered up. Settlers would come as far as 40 miles upriver to have their grain ground and to purchase flour. They came by canoe. The journey could be 3 to 4 days long. They also had to arm themselves against Indians, and sometimes they never came back home. Ludwig and his wife were very kind in how they operated. Ludwig never exacted payment from the poor for grinding their grain, and his wife would bake large batches of cookies on Saturdays. Ludwig would then give them to the poor in the neighborhood.
Lewisburg's landmark, the 3 globe lampposts. They began installation in 1912, produced by Westinghouse, who stopped producing them sometime in the 1940s or 50s. Today, they number nearly 1,500 and are manufactured at the Watsontown Foundry, as the borough of Lewisburg engaged them to make a mold using an original street lamp. I hope you enjoyed learning and visiting the places visited in the podcast and learning more about Lewisburg's history and architecture.